Insurance companies are paying between $10 and $14,000 for kids' beds, and the parents aren't paying a single dollar out of pocket. So, how do you build an email strategy when someone else is footing the bill? I'm Matt Lady, the host of Cartworthy. I do e-commerce marketing at Client Boost, performance marketing agency for DSC brands. Today on the show, I'm joined by Samar. She's the founder of Emails Done Right. This is episode 3 in our 10-part mini series. She worked with this medical device brand to optimize their entire lifecycle email journey for this unique business model. Here's the thing. When insurance covers a cost, parents tend to act a little different and their shopping behavior changes. They go from just the bed to a bunch of other things to maximize their order value. And this is what Summer is going to suggest. But how she does it, that's where you might be a little intrigued. Weekly nurture emails are not enough, and there's even this 90-day journey from quiz to approval. Let's get into it. One more quick note before we get started. I'm hosting the first Cartworthy live stream. It's the 2026 annual planning streamathon edition. It is for 12 or more hours straight live this coming Monday, 12:15. With 24 or more D2C experts covering everything from paid media to retention to AI, ads, creative. It's your complete 2026 annual planning session, totally free. Around 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific. Might be a little break in between, maybe not. Jump in for the topics you care most about. Get the replays for the ones you have to miss. Register at the link in the show notes or down below in the description. All right, here's the episode. We are back again. Third episode out of 10. Next question, next scenario, coming right up. Medical device brand. A little different this time. So a consumer medical device company creates beds and mattresses for kids with special needs. They want to increase its sales through email marketing. A few pieces of context and problems. Buying a bed or mattress is typically a one-time purchase because they won't need a new one anytime soon. Problem number 2, not all families need their mattresses because not all families have kids with special needs. Their beds retail between 10 and 40K, but are covered by medical insurance in most cases. How would you help this brand increase its sales? The answers: offer 20% off on their first order, create bundle offers, which is 2+ mattresses, bed plus mattress, full comfort kit, etc. Send weekly emails that nurture brand loyalty and sales. Break it down. Talk to me about this one.
Ooh, okay. So I can't name them, but they're a client of mine, and I work with them to optimize their entire lifecycle email journey, right? And it was such a unique concept for me to wrap my head around when I first started working with them, because I was like, what do you mean your bets are like $14,000? But also, what do you mean your customers don't have to pay, right? And so they had to have an hour-long call with me. They were breaking it down. And I learned so much about the medical insurance industry that I don't think I would need it to. It was so much fun. Okay, so the correct answer for the one I would choose is create bundle offers. Because when someone else is footing the bill, it makes it easy for this brand to boost their average order value. And since they need approval from medical insurance, a bundle makes the most sense. Parents will choose the option that gives them the most benefits. And this is where I will take a tiny pause and talk about the audience, right? So they create medical grade beds and mattresses for kids with special needs, but parents are the ones buying. Parents are the ones doing all the research. Parents are the ones that are their actual customers. Their product is just being used by kids, right? And so these are parents who have been sleep deprived. These are parents of kids who have autism, whose kids escape from bed at night. And so they're always sleeping with one eye open. They have these alarm systems in place. They have all of these systems in place that are just cobbled together. And the entire family is on all-time alert, right? So just some really heartbreaking scenarios as well of removing locks from a kid's room, and just having mattresses instead of bed because they're in danger of falling and hurting themselves and things like that. And so it was so important for us to also speak to them in a manner that was extremely empathetic, but also informed. And so even when we were thinking about increasing the email sales in general for this brand, we were approaching it from the angle of, well, whatever we do, it needs to serve our customers first. And it's I loved that this brand felt that responsibility that they had towards their customers, right? Okay, so coming back to why I would choose bundle offers for this brand. When insurance is covering the cost, parents are willing to buy a bed and a mattress, right? So their own, they could take loans, apply for grants, things like that. They would have just bought the mattress. All of a sudden, because insurance is covering it, they can also afford the bed, which comes with a lot of things that are safety and regulatory for the emotional well-being of their child, right? So, and if your insurance company was approving it, you'd even consider buying two beds because there's no rule that says that a child without special needs cannot use this bed. They absolutely can. It's just designed for kids with special needs. Other kids can absolutely use them if they want to. And so you would also consider buying accessories that you otherwise wouldn't because you would be budgeting or you would be watching how much you can actually afford. But here's the thing, you do have to worry about approval. So just because your medical insurance company can approve this doesn't mean that it's a given that they will. And this is where I found out what a messy industry the medical insurance industry in the US is. But this brand does such an excellent job of like also hand holding the parents through the entire process where they are offering guidelines and like how to reapply or reappeal if it's rejected and then what options they have if like they're disconnected, sorry, they are rejected again. And so then they would be like offering like, hey, here are all the grants you can look and see if they're relevant to you, apply for. There are all these loan options if you're interested, but they never recommend a loan. And I love that about them. Okay. So when it comes to creating bundles, really the sky's the limit or your imagination, because you could literally have an idea for a new product when you are creating bundles, right? So for this brand, I would, say like, we threw out a bunch of ideas. One was sell 2+ mattresses at a great discount. So it's easier for the insurance company to also say yes to 2 mattresses. The no brainer was like a bed and a mattress and a pillow bundle, right? So you get the basics in one go. And then there was like the idea of like a full comfort kit with additional accessories like soothing music, lights, and I'm forgetting the word and I don't want to use the wrong one, but there was this sensory game that kids could play to calm themselves down, right? That was an add-on. A camera connected to the bed that keeps the child safe, lets the parent know without having to come in and check in on the child and potentially waking them up in the middle of the night, right? So the more you bundle things, the more your average order value will also increase. And I feel like these are my two favorite things coming together. And that's not to say, we've covered this already, right? So I'm not going to repeat myself, but medical insurance is not some magical do-good system. And I don't think if that's the case in any country of the world. So let's not just shit on the US for this. But here's the thing. We were focusing on this segment because more than 90% of their sales are made through medical insurance coverage, right? And so, yes, we could absolutely use other ideas, but then that would be doing a disservice to their biggest segment of buyers.
Yeah, no, it's such a like niche, specific one, but it goes to show that you have to know the customer, you have to understand the brand. You can't just blanket and paste apply email strategy to any product, any brand. High average order. This is a high product, 10 to 14K, really important emotional decisions, the parent for their special needs child. This is not just, I want this a lip liner, I want this makeup, I want this skincare for myself. It's a little different, like you said, really empathetic, and it's a really emotional time. And health insurance, I have my own war stories with health insurance here. It's a whole complicated thing. So a few follow-ups on the initial, what you would choose as the right answer to this question is, you kind of alluded to it, was the extra products, the extra accessories, the extra SKUs. Do they have, or will they have, additional products that they could maybe offer and sell in the next few years because they bought the mattress and they last a long time? Like you kind of alluded to, sensory toys, stuffed animals, specific blankets, all these sort of things to help like get those repurchases later on and stay connected on the brand side. Just wanted to kind of start with that one.
Absolutely. All of those things. Also pillows. Pillows are something they will need over and over again. Right. And so, yes, so the big purchase is the mattress and the bed. The accessories are something you can sell again and again. Right. And again, weighted blankets or pillows or sensory toys or other things like that are also not just for kids with special needs. They're also for everybody else. Right.
That's right.
And
Yep.
so if you've got a child that also likes to co-sleep with you, you would want those pillows everywhere around the house, right? So if they want to go snuggle with a sibling, they will have their own pillow, and they're not dragging it from one room to the other. And it's just one of those ways that we can work on when it comes to like bringing them back for like another purchase.
Absolutely. So then moving on to the insurance side of things, was there a special consideration when you were kind of doing the strategy and the research with them and planning things out of when a potential customer first hears about the brand, how long does it take on average for them to actually purchase? Is it a
Oh,
certain amount of time, months?
yes.
Is it like amount of touch points? Like talk me through that a little bit more.
It was a long time. So we're talking like a minimum of, I want to say, 60 to 90 days. And so what they were doing was they were funneling people into a quiz. And the quiz was, let's see if you qualify for medical insurance, right? And when they did, they were put into a life cycle that would take them for like, okay, here's the first step. Listen, we can't do anything until you go to a doctor's appointment. Here's everything that you need to like record and organize to like a discussion list of things you need to talk to your doctor about. Then tell them about this. And they were like, it's highly likely that your doctor already knows about this brand, right? But advocate for yourself. Say you want this bed for your child and let them give you a letter of, it was a letter of something. All right. But
Letter
like
of
an official,
recommendation,
no,
maybe?
no. Prescription. Sorry. This was a medical grade brand, right? A
Yeah, yeah.
medical grade product. So they need a prescription for this. They will then take this prescription and apply to the medical insurance. Here's the kicker. They cannot apply on their own. Their doctor has to apply for them. And so this brand is helping parents come up and put together all of the paperwork that they need to, so that it's super simple for the doctor to write the letter they need to write to the medical insurance company. And the medical insurance companies are so particular that they will not accept a cookie cutter letter. They want the specifics issues of this child, right? They want what's going on, why this doctor is recommending, all of that. And so they are literally, this brand is hand holding the parent through the entire process and telling them this is what you need to put together. You need to book your doctor's appointment, because a lot of times the wait time to get to your doctor's appointment is a lot, right? And so in it, they're also like sending emails saying, hey, have you booked it? And if you have, click here to let us know when the date of your appointment is, so that we can help you prepare for it. And so they're getting engagement through it. And then we have like once somebody pulls in, sets in their appointment date, then we have another set of emails that are talking about like, hey, your date's coming up. We know you're worried. There's a lot going through your head. Remember the 3 or 4 points that you need to discuss with your doctor. Start building like a list of things you need to discuss, sets of behavior that you want to point out, all of that. And so it's an entire life cycle. And it's a long sales process, right? And the sales process doesn't end at getting approved, because then the bed needs to be shipped and the bed needs to be installed and all of that, right? But the payoff is so much for parents. This brand has an incredible product. Their customer reviews are filled with my favorite kind of testimonials, where a parent is sitting down and they're so emotional. They are painting a vivid picture of before and after, right? And that's how life changing this product is for their kids, and how much it has improved their quality of life, because they're finally getting a good night's sleep. And so it was super interesting to me to like just work with this brand and like see how many different facets or things were involved in the sales process.
Quick reminder, do not miss the first time in e-commerce D2C land content history of a live stream that's over 10 hours. It's this coming Monday, 12:15, 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific. All right, back to the episode. Super interesting, super cool. Love the impact that some e-commerce brands have that are more in-depth and more emotional than the typical product. A couple things you mentioned that were to touch on. The education piece leading up to it on the insurance side. Is there any like indication or extra education about being like a resource for parents with kids with special needs? Is it like making sure that you have the right diagnosis? Like, is there any like that sort of thing? Is it mostly most of the time, hey, I know my kid has special needs? It's been like already kind of defined and like known ahead of time? I'm just curious if there's any
The
difference there.
parents know. Parents get their kids diagnosed ahead of time. So that's not something the brand is educating on because they want customers who are already sold onto the idea of like, I have a special needs child that I need to help, who needs extra help, who needs extra vigilance from me. Right. And parents with kids that have issues to that level where they're unsafe on their own at night, those parents go very fast towards diagnosis on their own. But the brand does have like detailed guidelines of like, you know how with every brand there are customers who want to be taken step by step, and then there are customers who want to see everything that's involved in one go, right? And so they have detailed PDF guidelines that are listed at the bottom of every email for any parent who wants to see what's coming next, what the whole process looks like, what the timeline is. They have like this very detailed Q&A page, all of that. So they have like a lot of literature around educating parents.
Oh, that's super. That makes a lot of sense. I just was curious because you mentioned the quiz, but it's more like the quiz about the health insurance
Yeah.
versus the product education in this case. So moving on, the key part is this is like a special product. The install, the setup, like it's not a typical bedded mattress that they've probably set up and have taken care of a few times before in their life. So the post purchase is just as important to make sure it's all set up and used correctly. Is there any
Yes.
extra notes or considerations or anything you want to touch on the post purchase side of things?
So when we were working on their post purchase, our big thing was, has your bed been installed? What was your first night like? What was your first week like? Right. And so just really checking in as a concerned friend who had recommended something to you. Right. And now they've done this big monumental decision based off of your recommendation and promise. And so we did a lot of that. And that's probably why this brand has so many detailed reviews as well, because we're asking them, like, hey, please confirm whether the installation of the bed and mattress happened, because according to our records, it's showing it should have done by now. And if not, reach out to us. We'll follow up and see what's happening, right? And if it has, how was the first night like, right? And because through experiences, brand knows that the first night is almost transformative. The parents are scared. They're still watching their child 24/7, but they're watching their child have a good night's sleep for the first time in years in some cases. And so they really want to hear. And not from the perspective of this is going to be great for our brand, but they're also like genuinely invested because the success of their product is in how many kids are kept safe at night in their beds, right? And so they are constantly doing the research that needs to be done. And one of the ways is getting feedback in the post purchase flows.
So we not as much education about is your kid have special needs, but is there education on the expectations of oh this is what to expect of the how the child will change and react and adjust to the bed, or like it's popular with supplements or health related products. By this day, you'll start to feel this symptom, or by this time, you'll start to feel this. Is there any sort of like timeline like that, or is it like pretty immediate, like you said, first night?
No. So because this brand is like a medical grade product, they were very hesitant to make any kind of claims like that. Instead, we would use testimonials. And so that was so much more powerful because of instead of like the brand claiming this is what's going to happen, they were showcasing real life cases of customers where this had happened. So they were claiming it without actually claiming it, right? And they were highlighting reviews of like first nights, first weeks, first months of parents raving about like they haven't slept better in. I remember this mother's review where she said, I hadn't slept a full night's sleep, a full night in 8 years. And now I get to. And so it was less about the child, more about the mother. But it
For
was
sure.
so powerful in what was left unsaid. What she implied by saying she was getting a good night's sleep was that her child was safe and sleeping through the night, which meant she was sleeping through the night. And so we did that. We didn't make any claims like that, but we used customer reviews and testimonials.
Yeah, that the medical claim part is really important, especially when you're this is we're talking about emails, but you're running ads on Meta, you have to be compliant too. You can't make
Absolutely.
certain a lot of claims. Just quick extra one on that part. Was there any actual guarantee, or if you're not satisfied or if the health insurance doesn't work out after a certain number of days or months, like is there any like return satisfaction guarantee, like anything like that? Or is it like because it's so specialized they can't take it back? Just curious on that
Oh
piece.
no. There was absolutely service provided. So if you're having issues with your bed, call us and we'll come and fix it for you. And they had like these certified or licensed people who could repair or fix their beds, or at the very least go and take a look and see whether this was something that they could fix on their own or whether the bed needed to be sent back.
Yeah, that extra level of service and care is vital. It's not just a normal bed. You can't just have
Yeah.
anyone kind of work on that. So makes sense. Let's kind of quickly touch on the other answers that were not chosen outside of the bundle one. So to walk me through why not in this case.
Okay, so the second option was 20% off on the first order, right? And on the surface, it looks like a good idea because 20% off on a product that costs between $10,000 and $14,000, that's like a savings of like $2,000 to $2,800. And no matter how well off you are, that is a significant enough saving for you to like sit up and take notice, right? But the reason this is the wrong choice for this brand is because the biggest segment of buyers are insurance buyers. So not a big enough number for them to make any significant moves on, but it is there up there on their website, right? It's just not marketed to the mass majority. The quiz is what people see, but then the 20% off is for like people who say, I don't need insurance. And then it's cool. Take the 20% off, right? But for the biggest segment of their customers, this is the wrong choice, right? What was the third one? The third one was sending weekly emails that nurture brand loyalty and sales. No, like, yes, absolutely have that as a brand because you want to build that relationship with your customers, and it's a long process. You don't want to disappear on them even as you are nurturing and preparing them for everything, right? And word of mouth is also a huge factor for this brand because one happy parent, one safe child means that an entire community is now being told about this product. And so, yes, keep sending this, but weekly emails alone will not work for you for this brand or any brand. You have to go further.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. A little fun extra one that just came to mind before we wrap this one up is there a potential angle for get like the extra bedroom, or when you go to visit family, like a caregiver, like get another bed later on, or is that such a small number that probably it's not a big enough
That
use
was
case
not
or
a
pain
that was
point?
not a thing when I was working with this brand. But that's an interesting thing, right? Again, the focus was on increasing sales through insurance. That's a business decision at the end of the day. And if they're working on it on the product side, I'll find a way to make the sales for you. But like so far they have nothing for that.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, awesome. Anything else on this one before we wrap up?
Beyond just how important it is to understand your audience, because sometimes the buyer and the user are different. And so you need to know who you're talking to. And that can make all the difference in making sales.
Perfect. Awesome way to end. Thanks so much. Appreciate you on this episode 3 of 10. Stay tuned for episode 4 on this mega series. Catch you next time.
Absolutely.
The key takeaway here is you can't blindly copy every playbook for every brand. This business model is completely unique, completely different, and that changes things dramatically from overcoming price objections to maximizing that bundled value when insurance is footing the bill. So huge thanks again to Samar for breaking this case study down of selling medical grade beds to special needs families. Before we go, one last mention, just another reminder from like the bottom of my soulless ginger heart. I'm going live for 12 plus hours this coming Monday, 12:15. I'm super excited, a lot nervous, but mostly hype. Not sure how it's going to go. The guests are going to deliver. I have no doubt about that. I've got experts from brands, from agencies, from these SaaS companies that work with all the brands. I'll hold up, but I'm just super curious on how it's going to go and how it's going to be perceived. It's free. All you have to do is go to the link in description or in the show notes to register. Literally first name, last name, and your email. There's not a bunch of SaaS sponsors that all 10 of them are going to get your email and like spam you endlessly. It's not one of those. You'll get the live stream link. I'm going live 4 a.m. Pacific up to 6 p.m. PST. So join the show. It'll be the webinar. It'll be on LinkedIn. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Twitter. So in case you don't want to watch at the link, it'll be on the feeds too. So check it out. You'll get the replays, get the recaps. You'll be on the Cartworthy newsletter list that's starting up. I would really, 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 really love your support. It's taken a lot of energy and effort in a very short amount of time to pull this off. So please take a second to sign up, share with a friend, post it on social, put it in your company Slack. I would really appreciate it. Links to the show notes or description. Hope to see you there. Thanks so much. Take care.